point out another thing about this. Our narrator continuously gives Fortunato the opportunity to leave, to go away. He's just like, I want you to come down and check out this wine, see if it's Amontillado, but you look like you have a cold, and we need to go down in my vaults, down below. So I'll go ask this guy Lucchesi instead. But Fortunato is so pleased with himself and so proud of his knowledge of wine. He's like, no, I need to do this. So our narrator is going to continuously give Fortunato the opportunity to exit and to get away. But Fortunato's insistence that he be the one to, check out this wine and make sure that it is in fact Amontillado will be his undoing. Because he's going to keep insisting and he's going to keep going no matter how many chances our narrator gives him. There were no attendants at home. They had absconded to make merry in honor of the time. I had told them that I should not return until the morning, and had given them explicit orders not to stir from the house. These orders were sufficient, I well knew, to ensure their immediate disappearance, one and all, as soon as my back was turned. So our narrator makes sure that there's nobody there at his house. I took from their sconces 2 flambeaux, or torches. They take a couple of torches, and giving one to Fortunato, bowed him through several suites of rooms to the archway that led into the vaults. I passed down a long and winding staircase, requesting him to be cautious as he followed. We came at length to the foot of the descent, and stood together on the damp ground of the catacombs of the Montresors. The gait of my friend was unsteady. The bells upon his cap jingled as he strode. "The pipe," said he, referring once again to the barrel, the cask. "It is farther on," said I. "But observe the white webwork which gleams from these cavern walls." He turned towards me, and looked into my eyes with 2 filmy orbs that distilled the rheum of intoxication. That's a fancy way of saying he was really, really drunk. "Niter?" he asked at length. Now let me explain. They're going down. The wine is kept down below below the surface, and these catacombs, not only is wine kept down there, but the ancestors of our narrator, they're buried down there. So it is both a tomb and a wine cellar, which is kind of grim, but there you go. So that's where they're going in order to find this wine. And niter, essentially, it's just a substance that forms since they're below the ground, and I believe it's below sea level as well. It's just all the moisture, all the dampness. It forms this white substance. He refers to it as webwork. The things to keep in mind is, again, Fortunato, he is drunk. It seems like he has a cold. They're going down into these dark caverns, and it's really wet. Oftentimes when you have a cold and you're coughing, if you go down into a damp area, it's just going to make things worse. Almost like this is part of the plan. "Niter," I replied. "How long have you had that cough?" My poor friend found it impossible to reply for many minutes. "It is nothing," he said at last. "Come," I said with decision. "We will go back. Your health is precious. You are rich, respected, admired, beloved. You are happy as once I was. You are a man to be missed. For me it is no matter. We will go back. You will be ill, and I cannot be responsible. Besides, there is Lucchesi." "Enough," he said. "The cough is a mere nothing. It will not kill me. I shall not die of a cough." "True, true," I replied. "And indeed I had no intention of alarming you unnecessarily, but you should use all proper caution. A draught of this Medoc will defend us from the damps." He's giving him more wine. So Fortunato's drunk, and our narrator is keeping him drunk, making sure he's not exactly of a sharp and sober mind. Here I knocked off the neck of a bottle, which I drew from a long row of its fellows that lay upon the mold. Drink, I said, presenting him the wine. He raised it to his lips with a leer. He paused and nodded to me familiarly while his bells jingled. I drink, he said, to the buried that repose around us, and I to your long life. He again took my arm, and we proceeded. These vaults, he said, are extensive. The Montresors, I replied, were a great and numerous family. I forget your arms. A huge human foot d'or and a field azure. The foot crushes a serpent rampant whose fangs are embedded in the heel. And the motto? Nemo me impune lecessit. Good, he said. Okay, the arms, everybody, that's essentially, it's the family symbol. And as you can see there in the image, Nemo me impune lecessit, which I'm probably not saying very well. That's Latin. It basically means nobody attacks me and gets away with it. And notice the picture, it's a foot crushing a snake, but the snake is biting the foot. Remember, this whole story is Montresor insulted me, so I gotta get him back. So it's a matter of family pride that nobody attacks you in a way and then gets away with it. Good, he said. Sorry, I've already said that. The wine sparkled in his eyes and the bells jingled. My own fancy grew warm with the Medoc. We had passed through walls of piled bones with casks and puncheons intermingling into the inmost recesses of the catacombs. I paused again, and this time I made bold to seize Fortunato by an arm above the elbow. The nitre, I said. See, it increases. It hangs like moss upon the vaults. We are below the river's bed. The drops of moisture trickle among the bones. Come, we will go back ere it is too late. Your cough, it is nothing, he said. Let us go on. But first, another draught of the Medoc. I broke and reached him a flagon of the Grave. He emptied it at a breath. His eyes flashed with a fierce light. He laughed and threw the bottle upwards with a gesticulation I did not understand. I looked at him in surprise. He repeated the movement, a grotesque one. You do not comprehend? He said. Not I replied. Then you are not of the Brotherhood. How? You are not of the Masons. Yes, I said. Yes. For those who don't know, the Masons, basically it's a club, for lack of a better term. A lot of times, a lot of rather wealthy people are associated with the Masons. They call themselves the Freemasons. And it dates back to a very old association of literal masons, stonemasons, people who work with stone. So Fortunato has made some sort of a weird hand gesture, and Montresor, our narrator, doesn't recognize it. And he's like, what the heck is that? And Fortunato's like, you're not one of the Masons. Which realizes is a little bit insulting. It's like, Zago, you're not one of us, our special little club here. It's a little condescending, what Fortunato is being right there. But Montresor is insisting, yes. You? Impossible. A Mason? A Mason, I replied. A sign, he said. It is this, I answered, producing a trowel from beneath the folds of my roquelaire. Now, a trowel, you can see there in the picture, that is used for, mixing or laying down cement, in order to build walls. It's stonemasons. It's the kind of tool that they use. So basically, Montresor is just taking it very literally, saying, oh yes, I'm a Mason, not in the sense that he's a part of this club, but I'm a Mason literally. I'm somebody who works with stone. So anyway, he's kind of making a little bit of a joke when he pulls that out there. But why does he just happen to have that on him? You jest, he exclaimed, recoiling a few paces. But let us proceed to the Amontillado. Be it so, I said, replacing the tool beneath the cloak, and again offering him my arm. He leaned upon it heavily. We continued our route in search of the Amontillado. We passed through a range of low arches, descended, passed on, and descending again, arrived at a deep crypt, in which the foulness of the air caused our flambeaux rather to glow than flame. At the most remote end of the crypt, there appeared another less spacious. Its walls had been lined with human remains, piled to the vault overhead in the fashion of the great catacombs of Paris. 3 sides of this interior crypt were still ornamented in this manner. From the fourth, the bones had been thrown down and lay promiscuously upon the earth, forming at one point a mound of some size. Within the wall thus exposed by the displacing of the bones, we perceived a still interior recess, in depth about 4 feet, in width 3, in height 6 or 7. It seemed to have been constructed for no especial use in itself, but formed merely the interval between 2 of the colossal supports of the roof of the catacombs, and was backed by one of their circumscribing walls of solid granite. Okay, in case you missed that there. So they're getting further and further down, and there's some skeletons, some bones that are just, lying on the floor in a big pile, which is, kind of random. That's not how you treat the remains of your ancestors. And Montresor takes them up to this really small, for lack of a better term, room. It's called a recess, a niche. So, just picture it in depth 4 feet. So you walk in about 4 feet, just enough room to kind of walk in, turn around, walk out. In width 3, so you can easily walk into it, but you probably can't stretch your arms out in there. In height 6 or 7, so taller than about a foot or 2 taller than the average human being, or average man, I guess I should say. So this is where Montresor is leading up, this tiny little opening, this tiny little area there.